Hey, Demonic Pacts is just 11 days away. Jagex has fully revealed all the Tier 2 relics, so I want to get into an analysis there. Before I jump into that, just want to share I got a new microphone and a new webcam, so definitely leave a comment below on how the new tech is working. But let's get into the Tier 2 relics. So, Jagex has revealed Hotfoot, Friendly Forager, and Woodsman. We're going to have 3 options at Tier 2. I want to go into an overview for each of them really quickly. I want to talk about the impact and the skills that they're really boosting and they're valuable for. And then I'm also going to talk about some alternatives for each of them. Just in case if you're not going to pick one of them, you'll know exactly what to choose and where to train potentially if you don't go that route, right? And then lastly, we're going to wrap it all up. I'll share my ranking and my thoughts and where I'm leaning. So Hotfoot, we've seen this one in the past. It's the passive agility experience boots. When you pick Hotfoot, you're going to get the searing boots. Remember, like every item, you can always go to the League's tutor and Yama's lair and go and retrieve them if you lose them for whatever reason. But these searing boots are going to give you agility experience based on your agility level while you run. Now, I think this has in the past been around after you run about 10 tiles, you get 1 XP drop. People will create, AFK follow trains in Civitas, I'm guessing. We've seen people do that around the Fountain and Lumbridge. So definitely get onto that train and get some nice passive experience. It's going to be a great thing to do AFK if you don't have maybe one of the other AFK relics. In addition to that, however, we're going to get some really nice impacts to cooking and smithing. All fish that are caught when you're wearing these boots are automatically cooked, and whenever you mine ore, it's automatically smelted. All right, this is not something we had in the past. We had Hotfoot mixed in with other thieving and other benefits, but in this time around, it's going to be cooking and smithing that are your alternate impacts. In addition to that, we got a brand new ultra power impact, I think, which is picking up termites or marks of grace from a course will automatically complete the lap. And you're going to get 10,000 coins. I think before we used to see the 10k XP drop on top of the Mark of Grace. Now you're going to get it, and then you're going to also get it on termites, which I don't believe that was the case in the past, right? In addition to that, your Marks of Grace always have a 33% chance to spawn, so it's happening much faster. Completing the course will grant 25% bonus experience, right? Remember, the experience, whatever gains you get, are always multiplied by the League's multiplier, right? You have 100% success for all agility actions, so you'll never fail any shortcuts. You'll also never fail cooking, so all the food you buy or you fish will cook 100% successfully. And you're going to receive 2x termites. That's good for, getting some of maybe the teleport and collection log things at the Colossal Worm Agility course. Also 10x crystal shards if you're going to Prif, which is nice. Overall, really, really exciting relic. So let's get into it. So, like I said, this is your primary agility impacting relic. So far, we haven't seen any other relics that really give any other impacts except for the Barbarian one, which gives some passive agility XP. So if you are going Barbarian and you're getting that passive agility, maybe this one looks less juicy to you, right? But I think the double agility and rooftop instant finish is amazing. We've always seen a lot of tasks around completing agility courses. Actually, Prif has the timer kind of like challenge and stuff. So I'm kind of curious if you can get that instant finish at Prif, what happens? But I don't think that's going to how it worked. The Jagex didn't call out that portal, going to give you an instant finish. But it would be kind of cool. That would be really broken. You could finish the Prif course in like 10 seconds or something. But unfortunately, I don't think that's going to be the case. You will, however, get those 10 crystal shards at the end. In addition to that, more termites, more marks of grace. Remember, we all start out invulnerable this time, so we all have the Colossal Worm Agility course, right? And so it's just going to be an overall super sweet way to kind of round out all the agility tasks and experience and training. The main thing to remember is you're not going to wear the boots forever. You'll wear them, and depending on where you are and when you start PVM, and maybe you want some boosting boots. And I don't think they've revealed any like boot drops yet for any of the bosses from the Echo bosses, but I'm sure they will. And so when you decide to take these boots off, that's when you'll probably stop getting the experience. I think for most people, what I've heard historically is they end up somewhere around 70 to 90. You can always put them back on. Like once you have a lot of other good gear in your other slots, you're like, I don't care so much about the boot benefits. You can always put these back on to keep getting that passive experience, especially later in the game. You're also going to get that 16x multiplier. So it's going to be really good for agility. Again, I mentioned cooking 100% success and auto cook, which is great. on fishing, right? So when you're AFK fishing, so if you're pairing this with Endless Harvest, you AFK fish and cook, which is fantastic. In addition to that, smithing, auto smelt. The best thing about this is no coal requirement, right? I think that's one of the biggest hurdles for smithing in general. Like no one wants to mine ore, but now that it's auto smith, it's fantastic, right? You don't have to worry about the coal. And then bar processing is really fast. You just go to an anvil that's near a bank and you smash the bars into whatever you want to make, whether it's arrow tips or just armor or whatever. Smithing is a relatively fast skill. It's mostly the resource gathering that's slow about it. But let's say you're not picking Hotfoot, right? Let's talk about some alternatives. So like I said, Varlamore has the agility courses already. In addition to that, whatever regions you pick, they'll probably have some agility courses, right? Now, if you're not picking a region that has a lot of good agility courses, Hotfoot is probably going to be your play. And so just keep that in mind. For cooking, you can buy a lot of fish as well, and you're probably going to AFK fish, maybe some karambwans as well, because for the combo eats. And everyone has access to karamja as an unlock. So once you do that and you get the karambwans, karambwan is a really fast training method. You can pretty much like one-tick cook it, which is absolutely ridiculous because cooking is already a fast skill. So cooking is not a skill that I'm actually worried about, and I would really consider a really strong benefit just because it's already so fast and easy to do in the league in general. But it is a nice thing to do, but it's easy to fix, okay? And then you also have smithing. Again, if you're picking Fremenic and you have access to the Blast Furnace, or you're picking Desert and you have access to Giant's Foundry, these are good. But smithing also has been historically a very slow skill. And most importantly, because you have to combine the coal with the ore, or just go kill things that give you the bar drop directly, smithing has been painful. But again, you might have to just make sure you pick either Fremenic or Desert to kind of round that out for you. Or maybe you have Taranwin and you can smith the crystal armor and gear combined with some thieving relics that gives you kind of infinite crystal shards. That is also another good alternative, but just keep that in mind that Hotfoot is going to be one of the best ways to fix smithing for most people if you're not picking one of the regions that has a strong smithing training method. So, Friendly Forager. This is the brand new reveal Jagex has dropped. We've seen this one in the past as well. It's kind of similar as a comeback. I think the main thing that changed here now is that it's the instant processing. We used to see Production Prodigy do the instant processing for all skills, and I think that has been now separated across all these relics. And so Friendly Forager is going to give you the Forager's pouch. I think this year or last year, I forget exactly when, but Jagex launched the new lined herb sack, and so this will count as the same as that lined herb sack with the 150 herbs per herb you can store. And so that's actually a much larger volume. I think in the past it was also a larger value as well, but that's before we had that silk line herb sack, right? Same thing as the past: woodcutting, fishing, mining, and hunter. Whenever you're doing these activities, so I guess whenever you catch a monster in hunter, this pairs nicely with the tier 1 relic, right? Where the other tier 2 relic, if you're gonna go with Woodsman and you're gonna do reloaded, right? Anyways, so anytime you do one of these actions, you're going to get an herb, right? I don't think there's a lock on how often you can get an herb. So with things like Barbarian Gathering, you're going to be able to get really, really fast herbs. In addition to that, it'll only fill herb values and get herbs for the empty ones. So we'll just keep that in mind. You can remove all the renars from your pouch, right? And make sure everything else is full. And then you can, anytime you do woodcutting or fishing or mining, you will only get renars, right? Super powerful. There is a limit though. This is limited to your herbler level plus 25. So when you start out in the game, I think renars is somewhere around the 20s and 30s, but you won't be able to get torstals or something like that until your herbler is much higher up. Now, I don't know if this is impacted by the boost you get. If you do know the clarity on that one, let me know below for the tier 1 abundance relic, because I would assume that the boosted allows you to clean herbs at a higher level, so that plus 10 visual boost should count to giving you higher herbs earlier on in the game, right? And this pouch will share resources as the herb sack so that you don't have to get another one, but you also can't duplicate the herb sack and this in your inventory. In addition to that, everything is processed at once. Like I mentioned, secondary ingredients have a 90% chance to not be consumed. Now, important thing here is we are all starting in Varlamore, so we all have access to the goggles, and those goggles give you an additional 10% save. And we saw in the last league that the people who went here and got the goggles got 100% saved. And so what this means is pretty much you're going to be able to, once you get a stack of your secondaries, like 26 of them that you can put in the reagent pouch, you pretty much never need to get any more of that secondary ever again. You will have 100% secondary save, and this is, to me, the most powerful aspect of this relic, is to never ever have to worry about secondaries after getting the initial 26. And even when you get the 26, like, you can do a slow and painful method to get those, but once you have it, it's just solved forever. Those of us who may not choose Friendly Forager, I might be leading you on to my thoughts, will have to worry about maintaining a large amount of secondaries for their potion training. And lastly, potions you create will have 4 doses instead of 3. Because of this relic already being so powerful, you'll pretty much have infinite potions, as many as you need. And so this one is a little bit kind of like a nice to have. So, you get like an extra dose every now and then, but it wouldn't be so hard for you to go and reproduce and make tons more potions. So I think that one's a little bit just kind of like a meh addition to it. So, all right, Friendly Forager. This is a single skill impact kind of relic. There's no secondary benefits about it. Even if you were to get potions and all the other things, I still wouldn't see any other ways this relic would help you in other skills, right? That's not to say that Herblore is a painful skill. Now remember, Herblore training itself is actually really, really fast because the XP rates are fast. The slow part for Iron Man accounts is getting the resources, right? And so this is the relic that's going to fix those resource gathering requirements, right? Because it's giving you a way to produce herbs and target specific herbs. Like when you kill a Slayer monster, it drops some random herb you don't know. You don't really have a choice, right? And here you can target farm your herbs, and then you can save on secondaries, which is another resource you have to gather, right? So the double resources are the part that make Herblore really, really difficult and expensive and slow. But once you have those, it fixes it. So this relic primarily focuses on solving that. It's really good at saving all of your secondaries, instant processing. Everything is phenomenal. But again, one skill. So alternatives. Now, in the last league, we all started in Mistlin and Lumbridge, and we didn't all have access to Mastering Mixology. Now, Mastering Mixology is a great, efficient skilling training method or if you have a low amount of herbs. On my group Iron Man, I did a ton of Mastering Mixology to train up my Herblore, just because I got a bunch of passive herbs from playing the game and throughout, right, and doing my farm runs. And remember, our Nature's Accord farming relic is not instant grow, so you won't be able to just bang out a bunch of herb cycles and get tons of herbs instantly. You're gonna have to still wait and do that slowly. So herb gathering, I think, will be a slow process. Even if you're doing this relic, the only one that's gonna make it fast really is the barbarian gathering. Otherwise, all gathering skills are relatively slow. And so if you have this, it's still going to be a slow time to kind of gather those herbs, but there are alternatives. And so you want to get the most out of that herb. So cleaning that herb is one thing. It's a really kind of small XP drop, but it is XP drop, right? Pairs well with abundance because each XP drop gets an additional multiplier or additional addition to that. But lastly, you want to take that herb and go to Mastering Mixology. This is where you're going to get the most bang for your buck for experience. You also have a lot of good resources at Mastering Mixology, right? And so bringing it there, everyone has access to it. It's going to be a great training method if you don't go Friendly Forager. So let's keep that in mind. In addition to that, we also are all going to be killing the moons. Although irrits are a really common drop from moons, and so we're going to have a pretty good influx of irrits coming in. As I mentioned, Slayer, you're going to have just killing monsters and gathering herb seeds and herbs are going to be a good way to get it. And lastly, of course, farming. Regardless of whether you pick the farming relic or not, everyone will probably have to do some farming runs. And so growing your herbs and getting them is always a good way to kind of gather them. Again, it's going to be a slower method. So unless you're racing for the top 10 in the leaderboard, remember leagues is a marathon. It's not a sprint. You have plenty of time. We got 8 weeks to do this. You can kind of start doing this kind of passive method. If you do really hate the passive play style of like the dailies, of like do your daily farm runs and stuff, maybe you pick this relic, right? And lastly, I want to talk about the secondaries. Now, in Varlamore, we have Alchemist Signets from Custodian Stalkers, and these actually produce a great resource for certain secondaries. In addition to that, Slayer drops some secondaries, and then you can also farm them. Like white berries, once you get a couple of those seeds, are relatively easy to just kind of keep going and sustaining and maintaining that for that. So I think it's possible to get secondaries. This will be region dependent, but I will say that the wiki for this Herblore training in the wiki page is really, really good. So just go ahead. I'm going to drop the link in the description below. Check out that link. You're pretty much, because everyone knows Herblore is such a painful training method, it goes into the details of all the secondaries you can get by region, all the primaries you can get by region, and training methods. It's really, really thorough. And so it is a nice kind of save for you there. All right, last but not least, we're going to have Woodsman. This is going to be your relic that's going to be impacting Hunter, Fletching, and Fire Making. So your active effects, you have toggleable effects, right? Hunter traps can directly harvest to your bank instead of your inventory, which is kind of nice for things that give you multiple loot drops like feathers and bird, things like that. Also, logs can automatically burn. I think you can just go to the League menu and just click on these checkboxes to toggle the effects on or off. Okay, so also when you're processing fletching, you're going to process everything at once, and the stackable items cap is 10. So normally when we do like darts, you do 10 at a time, so now you're going to do 100 at a time for stackable items. This is really nice. We've seen this effect in Production Prodigy in the past, and like I mentioned, Jagex has kind of split up Production Prodigy and just put all the instant processing into the various relics that they've created for us this time around. Also, chop logs can automatically be burned when you turn this on. This is great. Fire making is a much faster training method XP wise than woodcutting. So if you go and train to 99 woodcutting or 25 mil woodcutting or 50 mil woodcutting, you will pretty much max out your fire making. The only caveat there is if you're going to save the logs for either construction or save the logs for fletching. In that case, you will reduce that. But again, it's not going to be too hard, and you can always just AFK train fire making now with woodcutting, which I think is a really nice passive effect. Fire making, I guess, has an AFK way to train with the campfire, but it's kind of slow and tedious. Now you can just train both skills at once, fully AFK, which is great. Also, you're going to get all the hunter benefits. So you're going to have 100% success. Salamanders aren't going to break your traps or anything like that. They're always going to get caught. They're also going to be faster attracted to your traps. This is going to be almost, I think, like a 2x XP multiplier just by itself. But in addition to that, you're also going to get double the loot and double the XP. So overall, this is almost like a 4x XP drop. We have seen in the past, Jagex usually puts a few tasks, maybe even more than a few tasks around Hunter, gathering chins and gathering salamanders and whatever, depending on your regions. And so this is going to be really important to keep in mind. In addition to that, traps will always drop a random herb seed or tree seed when harvested. Now, this is actually a crazy boost because we haven't had this in the past with any other Hunter relic. And even though if you don't pick Friendly Forager that we saw, this will give you a nice influx of herbs and tree seeds. If you're picking Woodsman, the Nature's Accord relic much later down, which maximizes the efficiency of your seeds, may not be so necessary because all of your hunter gathering will get you lots of seeds and tree seeds, right? Now, keep in mind, once you have this relic and if you're training to 99, you'll do a lot of hunter. In addition to that, we have the Hunter's Guild, and the Hunter Rumors will give us double XP and double loot sacks as well, which is another great resource to get a lot of materials, great for the game. And lastly, all loot from jarred implinks will be doubled and noted, and the jars will no longer break. And then last up, we have this Quetzal Whistle. So I want to talk about this. This is actually a really unique, interesting one, which is this is giving you infinite Quetzal Whistle charges without having to charge it. So pretty much as soon as you unlock the basic one, you never need to get the blueprint and keep upgrading it. You have infinite charges. You don't need to worry about it. This is like a pseudo kind of teleport kind of benefit, which we don't see in the other tier 2 relics. Right? Now remember, everyone will have access to the whistle, and they'll be easily able to charge it depending on whatever monster they're hunting. If they just keep hunting moths, in that case, you won't get the meat to keep recharging it. But like all the antelope and all the other monsters, they drop the meat, which you can charge. Also, like once you have access to the other teleport methods that you might pick at tier 3 or tier 5 or wherever, this one might not be so useful. However, if you're missing out on those, this will be nice. Just remember the Quetzal whistle gets you around Varlamore really well, but once you get the other regions, the whistle won't be giving you any benefits there. It is a really nice kind of perk, but overall, really powerful relic. It's going to just overall double or quadruple almost everything in Hunter. It's also going to give you access to seeds, which inadvertently kind of boosts farming a little bit. I think, we've seen like in the past leagues I remember playing, I was able to kind of maintain seeds relatively easily from killing monsters, even like raids drop seeds and Toa and stuff like that. And so I never felt like that was necessarily the bottleneck. It was mostly the time aspect of it. In addition to that, I think I always went for like a thieving relic, which is looking pretty juicy this time around as well. And so just stealing those seeds from farmers will be great as well. So overall, pretty strong relic. Fletching is already a fast skill. So let's talk about the alternatives, right? Fletching is already a fast skill, okay? So you can buy the broad bolts and broad arrows from any Slayer Master, which we all have access to, and you can kind of passively train it, just assuming you have a little bit of money. It's going to be really, really easy for you to do that. In addition to that, Varlamore also has Veil Totems. This is kind of like Mastering Mixology, where it's a really efficient, low resource requirement training method. So you're going to actually really maximize your XP. First, you'll fletch the logs into your unstrung bows, and then you're going to go put them on the totems. So you're getting double the XP drop for the traditional one resource, which is going to be really, really powerful, and it's going to be a great way to passively train. Also, Veil Totems has some nice rewards and benefits, so just keep that in mind. There's a great alternative to fletching. If you're thinking about getting this just for the 10x multiplier for fetching, please do not. Okay, so this is the main relic that boosts Hunter, and this is just gonna double everything. But for anyone else who's not picking this relic, you'll just be able to do Hunter contracts and Hunter the classic way. Hunter is a slow skill, waiting for the monsters to get into the traps. In addition to that, we don't have access to Fossil Island, so you don't have access to Herbivore, and Herbivore is a very good XP training method at a high level, and so this will kind of fix it out. Woodsman is definitely looking like a pretty valuable relic. I just don't know if it's there for me. So all of these relics, one thing I want to talk about is you can't look at this tier in a silo. You have to look at tier 1 and tier 4 and tier 5 and see what other impacts your skills you have. Most importantly, all of these relics impact skills that have training methods in Varlamore, right? We have the Colossal Agility course, right? We have the Hunter Guilds, and we have Mastering Mixology, right? So I think Jagex kind of kept tier 2 on theme to kind of benefit and maximize and pretty much let you pick which Varlamore training you hate the most. And so you can kind of pick the relic that kind of fixes that skill for you, and then you can do the other two Varlamore training methods, right? Smithing and fire making are the two most impacted secondary ones. Picking Woodsman makes fire making a AFK passive skill, especially if you have Endless Harvest. Fire making becomes 100% AFK. Right? So you can just click a tree, walk away. You're getting, wood cutting and fire making XP super easy. Hotfoot makes smithing really nice. Again, if you have Endless Harvest, you can just click and mine an ore. You're automatically going to smelt it, put the bar into your bank. And then, like I mentioned, bar processing is really, really fast and easy. And so that really makes smithing really nice, right? And overall, my ranking is going to be Hotfoot, Woodsman, and Friendly Forager. I think smithing and agility are two skills that are really powerfully impacted. Woodsman is impacting Hunter, which is also kind of a slow and painful skill. I think I just kind of like Mastering Mixology as an activity. And historically in the past, I didn't pick an Herblore relic, and I had 99 Herblore, 25 million Herblore XP in the last league. And so I don't think I'm too concerned about it at this time. Obviously, we haven't received all the spoilers just yet. So once we do, we'll get a full analysis from me. Anyways, thank you for tuning in. I know this is a really long video. Hopefully the chapters are going to be helpful in the description. And as always, please subscribe and share, and I'll share more updates on my new videos. Like and leave comments. Thanks.